The first curse is the curse of violence, David's line. The pattern is simple. Murder begets murder. Violence spirals across generations until the family destroys itself. The origin? 2 Samuel 11. David, the man after God's own heart, commits adultery with Bathsheba. Then to cover it up, he orchestrates the murder of her husband, Uriah. Cold, calculated, done. And here's where it gets chilling. The prophet Nathan delivers God's verdict. The sword shall never depart from your house. Not, you'll be punished. Not, you'll suffer consequences. The sword, violence itself, will become a permanent resident in your family line. And watch what happens. David's son Amnon rapes his half-sister, Tamar. David's son Absalom murders Amnon in revenge. Absalom then tries to murder David and seize the throne. David's general Joab murders Absalom. Later, Joab himself is executed for his violence. 4 generations, all ending in bloodshed. The pattern doesn't break, it accelerates. Now pause. Before you think, well, I've never murdered anyone. Violence doesn't always look like murder. Ask yourself, does rage run in your family? Do conflicts always escalate to shouting, to broken relationships? Is there a history of physical abuse, even if it's just spanking that goes too far? Do the men in your family solve problems with intimidation? Because that's the curse taking root. That's the sword that doesn't depart. And if you have sons, you're watching to see if they'll pick it up next. The second curse is the curse of deception. Jacob's line, the pattern, liars raise liars. Deception becomes the family's native language until nobody can trust anybody. The origin, Genesis 12, 26, 27. 3 generations, same lie. Abraham lies to Pharaoh about Sarah being his sister. Why? To save his own skin. Isaac, Abraham's son, lies to Abimelech about Rebekah being his sister. Same lie, same cowardice. Jacob, Isaac's son, lies to his own father. He puts on goatskins to steal his brother's blessing. The entire foundation of his identity is built on deception. But here's where it gets poetic. Jacob's sons lie to him. They fake Joseph's death with a blood-soaked coat. The deceiver gets deceived. 4 generations, the same spiritual disease. And what did it cost them? Abraham almost lost his wife twice. Isaac created a dysfunctional family where brothers hated each other. Jacob fled his home for 20 years and lost his favorite son for 17 years. Jacob's sons sold their brother into slavery and lived with that secret for decades. All because one man decided the truth wasn't safe. So, here's your diagnostic question. Does your family keep secrets? Do you have relatives nobody talks about? Was there abuse everyone knew about but nobody named? Do you find yourself lying reflexively, not because you're malicious, but because honesty feels dangerous? That's the curse. Because when deception is your native language, you can't build anything real. Not real marriages, not real friendships, not real faith. You just build masks, and you teach your kids to do the same. The third curse is the curse of short life, Eli's line. The pattern, premature death. Generation after generation dying young, dying suddenly, dying violently. The origin, 1 Samuel 2-4. Eli was the high priest of Israel. He had 2 sons, Hophni and Phinehas, who were absolute reprobates. They were sleeping with women at the tabernacle. They were stealing the best portions of the sacrifices. And Eli knew. He gave them a weak rebuke. Why do you do such things? But he didn't stop them. He didn't remove them from ministry. He valued his sons over his God. So God sent a prophet with this message. I will cut off your strength and the strength of your father's house, so that there will not be an old man in your house. Translation, nobody in your family will live long. And watch it unfold. Hophni and Phinehas both die in battle on the same day. When Eli hears the news, he falls backward, breaks his neck, and dies. Phinehas' wife goes into premature labor from the shock and dies in childbirth. 3 generations. Gone. But it doesn't stop there. Decades later, when King Saul massacres the priests at Nob, guess which family line gets wiped out? Eli's. Because the curse is still active. Now this one's harder to self-diagnose because we don't want to see it. But ask honestly, do people in your family die young? Is there a history of sudden deaths, accidents, or suicides? Do multiple generations struggle with severe health issues that doctors can't fully explain? Sometimes we call it bad luck or genetic predisposition, but sometimes it's deeper. Sometimes it's a curse that was never broken because the sin that activated it was never repented of. And the most terrifying part? Eli's curse was triggered by passivity, not by committing evil, but by refusing to confront it. Drop a comment below and share. Like and subscribe. The fourth curse is the curse of greed, Gehazi's line. The pattern, financial destruction. No matter how much money comes in, it disappears. Poverty, debt, or the consuming need for more. The origin, 2 Kings 5. Naaman, a Syrian general, is healed of leprosy through Elisha's ministry. He offers Elisha a fortune in thanks. Elisha refuses, but Gehazi, Elisha's servant, thinks, "My master's a fool. I'll take the money." So he runs after Naaman, lies to him, and takes silver and clothes. Then he hides them and lies to Elisha about where he's been. Elisha sees right through it and pronounces this curse: "The leprosy of Naaman shall cling to you and to your descendants forever." Not temporary, not conditional, forever. And the text says, Gehazi went out from his presence a leper, as white as snow. Now here's the question nobody asks. What happened to Gehazi's kids? Because the curse wasn't just on him, it was on his descendants. They inherited leprosy. They inherited poverty. They inherited the consequences of their father's greed. So look at your family's financial history. Is there a pattern of poverty despite hard work? Do windfalls always disappear through crisis or poor decisions? Is there a history of gambling, theft, or get-rich-quick schemes? Because greed isn't just about loving money. It's about believing God's provision isn't enough. It's about taking what isn't yours because you don't trust God to give you what you need. And when that belief gets baked into a family system, it creates a poverty curse that no amount of hard work can break. So here's the good news, and it's shockingly good. Every single one of these curses has the same breaking point, a new bloodline. Look at David's line: "The sword never departs until Jesus, the Prince of Peace, born into the house of violence." The curse ends at the cross. Look at Jacob's line: "Deception for 4 generations until Judah," Genesis 38. Judah finally tells the truth, admits his sin publicly, and says, "She is more righteous than I." The curse breaks, and from his line comes Jesus. Look at Eli's line: premature death, total destruction, until the priesthood shifts to Zadok, a faithful priest, a new lineage. The curse ends. You see the pattern? The curse breaks when someone refuses to pass it on, when someone says, "The violence stops with me," when someone says, "I will not lie to my children the way I was lied to," when someone says, "I will confront evil instead of enabling it," when someone says, "I will trust God's provision instead of chasing wealth." That's when the curse dies, not because you're strong enough to break it, but because you're willing to let it break you, to confess it, to repent of it, to name it as sin instead of calling it personality. And here's the ultimate truth. The reason any of us can break a generational curse is because Jesus already broke the curse of sin itself, the curse of death, the curse of separation from God. Galatians 3:13, Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming a curse for us. You want to know how bloodline curses are shattered? They're shattered at the cross. Because when you're born again, you don't just get forgiveness. You get a new bloodline. You become a child of God. Your family tree gets grafted into His. The violence, the deception, the death, the greed, it stops when you stop carrying it. When you lay it at the foot of the cross and say, "Not in my house, not in my generation. This ends with me." That's how curses die, and that's how legacies are reborn.